All right, well, this is RSM 308, Recreational Sport Programming, and we've been just talked some about putting together single elimination tournaments, and now we're looking at drawing the brackets. And so I left this at the last video with this up. So I want to kind of look at how we can draw these brackets. And again, the power of 2 is the key element to keep in mind here. We always have to go to the power of 2 if it equals, or go beyond if we're going to have buys. When you draw the bracket, usually you're going to start with 1 being at the top and 2 being, or the lower seeds on the bottom. And so you'll see this taking place with all the levels. So this is power of 2 or power of 1, right? So only 2 teams, power of 1. One of the things that all the brackets will equal. So when you put them in these brackets, you know, the numbers in this game, if there's only 2, it should equal 3. So it's 1 addition over the number of teams. Okay. So when you get this, you want to see. So in this case, we're going to have power of 2, 4 teams plus 1. The total should equal 5 when you're seeding them, okay, and putting them into brackets. So in this case, 1 seed versus 4, 3 versus 2, okay, equals 5, right? So this one, now we're going to go out to the power of 3, and it's going to be 8 teams, right? So 8 plus 1 is 9. So 1's going to play 8, 4 is going to play 5, 6 is going to play 3, and 7 is going to play 2. And here you can see, and we can keep going out. You know, the fourth power is going to be 16 teams. 16 plus 1 is going to equal 17, right? 1 versus 16, and work its way through. So you're always going to see that it should add up. If it doesn't add up, then you've done something wrong, and you need to probably go back and reorganize those. Okay. So you're going to see that taking place whenever you draw the brackets. Now, once it moves forward from that, you know, then it's going to get askew, right? But ideally, what should happen? It should be 1 playing 4, just like we saw before, and 3 playing 2, and then 2 versus 1. So it should work out ideally if you do it right. But you know, in sport, there's never any guarantees, so you get that switch up. Okay, so always think when you're drawing the brackets for a single elimination tournament and you're creating it, if you're going out, like this one is 8 teams, we're out to the third power of 2, right? It's going to equal 1 the power, so in this case 8 plus 1, and it should, all of them should be in that realm. Okay. So what about placing buys? The higher seeds always get the buys in a round, right? So the higher seeds always get a buy in the round. Okay. The number of buys equals we said this before. The number of buys equals the next highest power of 2 minus n. So n is the number of teams. So we go out. We go out 5 power of 2, and we have 31 teams. Okay, so it's 32 minus 31, and that gives us 1, right? So we're going to have 1 buy. Now you might have, sometimes you might get crazy buys where, let's say you have, 5 teams and an 8 team. You know, basically you have to go out to 8 at third power. Now you have 3 buys that you're going to have instead of because 8 minus 8 minus 5 equals 3, so you're going to have 3 buys. Okay. Here's an example. N equals 6, but we have to go out to that third power of 2, which is 8, and now we're getting 8 minus 6, we got 2 buys. 1 and 2 get a buy, everybody else is playing. In this case, the 2 high seeds, 1 and 2, receive the buys, and they get into the second round. Okay. remember, when drawing brackets, always draw the next highest power of 2 from your end. An example above, you draw a team bracket, right? That's what you would draw. Okay. So in this case, this is what it would look like, explicit. It's saying there's no 8 team, there's no 7 team, so 1 and 2 move on. These two games will go on, 4 versus 5, and 3 versus 6. Again, we're out to that third power, which is 8. 8 plus 1 equals 9, and so you can see that in effect there. Okay. This is implicit. Again, not a big deal, but just different ways to draw your brackets. This one, instead of writing out that they have a bye, we just move them on to that second round. Okay. Implicit. It's assumed that you know what happened. It's a bye. Okay. All right. So you got those. Okay. Maximum number of entries. So we throw it into an equation and try to figure out what's the maximum number of teams that we can have in our tournament based upon the number of facilities that we have or courts that we have and the number of days that we want to go. Remember, to determine the maximum number of entries you can have in a single elimination. You have to look at how many facility reservations you have. We must, and given a fixed facility reservation, you must know the number of games we can play per day and the number of days you're going to have for the tournament, right? Okay, so we have to know the number of days and the number of games that we can get in a day. So if we're starting on Monday, ending on Sunday, we have 7 days. We got 2 fields to do it on, and they can play at 5 and 6 on each field. Okay, so that's basically 4 games a day. 5 and 6, that's with 2 fields, so that's 4 games a day. And a team only plays 1 game per day. Okay, so let's look at this. Step 1, figure out the total number of possible games. So 2 hours per day times 2 fields times 7 days, we can get 28 possible games. 28 possible games is the maximum number of games that we're doing. Not rocket science math. Just think about the number of hours that we have per day. We only have 2 hours a day, 5 and 6. Number of fields, 2 fields, and we have 7 days to work with. Just multiply it all up, and it gives us the total number of possible games. Figure out how many wasted games. All right, think about, we're not going to need all the fields on the days because we're going to get into times where it's going to be wasted. We're not going to have any games going on. So think about kind of looking at it backwards. Finals, we only have 1 game, right? So what's that mean? That means there's 3 wasted fields, 3 wasted games, right? That's one way we can look at it. Semifinals, we only have 2 games going on. We have 2 wasted fields. Quarterfinals, we have 4 games, so there's no wasted fields. So that's where we kind of get to the point where we don't see any wasted fields again. All right. So the total number of wasted games that we'll have is 5. Okay. So once we get to 0, then we can stop. Okay. So think about it. You know, if you go back and look at the brackets, how many games are being played on that championship? Just 1 game, right? Just 1 game. So at that point, we have basically 3 fields just sitting empty. Okay? And with each team only playing once per day, so that's basically, we can't get around it. It's just going to be empty fields. So we have 3 wasted fields there. Semifinals, we have basically the 2 games going on, right? Maybe it's 1 and 4 and 2 and 3, if it's ideal, right? They're playing. And then, you know, you can play them at the same hour, you can play at separate hours, but you're still going to have 2 empty fields, right? 2 wasted games. And once you get to the quarterfinals, then at that point, you won't have any. There'll be 4 teams playing at that point because you're looking back, and that is going to be 8 teams, right? That's that third power of 2, which is 8. So we won't have any wasted. So the total number of wasted games is 5. Now we need that because we only have 28 games that we can play, right? We have 5 wasted, so now we're down to 23 games. Okay. Remember, we can only play 4 games a day. So finals, we have 3 wasted. And here you can see the brackets being put out. Four games, 1, 2, 3, 4. We can't, no wasted games there on this one. So total number of games minus the wasted games. So we have 23 games that we have available. Now to determine the number of teams that we can let in, it's just a mathematical equation. N minus 1 equals the total number of games, N being the total number of teams. We know that we have, it basically minus 1 equals 23. So in this case, what's going to be minus 1 to equal 23? It's 24. So we know that we can get as many as 24 teams into our tournament and make it successful. Now if we have 24 teams, think about this. What power do we have to go to? We have to go to the 5th power. We have to have 32 teams. So we're going to have a lot of teams there at the beginning that are going to have buys, okay, because of the way that it's set up, just the number that we have. All right. So I'm going to stop there. Hopefully that made sense to you. We can come back and again, if you have issues with single elimination, be happy to talk you through it and help you work that out. Again, that might be an option that you want to use for your tournament. And we'll not going to delve too much into double elimination tournaments for you. I put on a video to assist you with double eliminations, and so you can take a look at double eliminations. Again, one thing with the double elimination, it's going to go a lot longer than the single elimination tournament is. But we'll go ahead and stop there, and we'll pick up talking a little bit about some of the other types of